One does not need to be a member of the Illuminati to gain enlightenment. Most of those who completely rejected all forms of mysticism and concomitantly completely adhered to self-honesty, reality and reason have not been part of the ancient Illuminati, but simply were rational thinking individuals who had come to a right understanding of the nature of reality and of their own minds. Throughout history there have been many such non-Illuminati enlightened individuals. In the past these were relatively rare, but with the increasing spread of scientific knowledge such individuals have become more common in recent centuries, and are more common today than in any other point in history. We salute these individuals and their enlightenment, but we recognize that in unity of numbers there is great power, and that by joining together the enlightened are much stronger than they are alone. What follows is a short summarized history of the organized Illuminati, the organization of those enlightened individuals who have banded together since ancient times in recognition of their mutual self-interest and in the recognition that an enlightened world is in the self-interest of all. The purpose of publishing this history is to shed light on our millennium-spanning struggle, and to clear up various misconceptions regarding our involvement with various individuals and events. This summary does not reveal our entire history. Our full history is revealed only to our higher members, but it does provide a glimpse into our organization and methods. Pythagoras and the origins of the Illuminati. The Illuminati was originally not a unified organization, but a loose association of individuals united by their shared non-mystical enlightenment, who generally kept the fact and nature of their enlightenment hidden from others, particularly in environments which would be hostile to their enlightenment. Such hostility was normally due to 1. Governmental and/or religious persecution in reaction to the enlightened opposition to oppression and mysticontrol. It was very common, although not universal, for the government and religion to be one and the same, or at least for the government or rulers to make religious claims designed to legitimatize or increase their power. Actually, such techniques are still being used to this day. 2. The generally antagonistic stance adopted by many mystics when confronted by hyper-rationality. It was the ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras who first formally organized this loose association into a unified secret society. The name Illuminati was not used at this time. Pythagoras's group was called the Pythagorean Brotherhood, or sometimes simply the Brotherhood or the Pythagoreans. It should be noted that despite the term brotherhood, many females were also members. Pythagoras established strict protocols for bringing new members into the brotherhood, and for evaluating their fitness for either being led to true illumination or alternatively for being led to some form of mystical pseudo-illumination. Pythagoras's protocols have been refined and modified over the millennia, but it is a testament to his genius that his general approach is still in use to this day. Pythagoras was born on the eastern Aegean Greek island of Samos, in approximately 570 BCE. He was an extremely intelligent individual, of the sort who would be called a Renaissance man in later millennia. Although he lived in a very mystical time, he was not an inherently mystical person himself. He traveled widely, seeking true knowledge. Reliable knowledge, of a type that we would consider scientific today, was very sparse in the time of Pythagoras. Furthermore, mystics were themselves far more widespread than non-mystical, reality-based, rational thinkers. One area, however, where Pythagoras found absolute certainty was in mathematics, and he himself made many mathematical advancements. He also developed ideas regarding the nature of the mystical mind, and began to uncover how mystics were controlled by their mysticisms, and how this control was often wielded by governments and religions. He found that it was often much easier and more productive to replace a destructive or harmful mysticism held by a very mystical person with another, less harmful mysticism, i.e., a eumysticism, rather than to attempt to directly remove the mysticism altogether. It was sometimes the case, however, that if these replacement mysticisms were carefully crafted so as to contain superficially hidden inconsistencies along with inarguable facts, that more intelligent and, in particular, intellectually honest individuals would eventually see through the mysticism and break through to a truly non-mystical mindset. Pythagoras ultimately dedicated himself to the eradication of mysticism, or at least, to the establishment of a society of non-mystical individuals, where each would have the greatest opportunity to flourish as far as their talents, intelligence, and efforts would take them. He moved to Croton, in Magna Graecia in about 530 BCE at approximately 40 years of age. This is now the Comune of Crotone in the southern Italian region of Calabria. This is where he established the Brotherhood. Membership in the Pythagorean Brotherhood was not freely open to all. Candidates were subject to a probationary period which was intended to test their fitness for membership. Since secrecy was of vital importance to the Brotherhood, candidates were required to take a literal vow of silence, a multi-year period of verbal restraint, or akamathia. This was intended as a means for testing and, just as importantly, for honing the patience, temperament, and self-discipline of the candidates. Akamathia also served as a very powerful symbolic representation of the secrecy they would be expected to maintain if they were admitted into the Brotherhood. An important maxim of the Pythagorean Brotherhood was, "Not all things are told to all." Instead of simply divulging all of the secret teachings and methods of the Brotherhood to all members, the membership was divided into several gradations, or degrees, with each having a different level of access to this information. The lower degrees were called the acousmatikoi, listeners, and the higher degrees were called the mathematikoi, learners or students. To further hide the nature of the true illumination of the Brotherhood, sometimes members deemed unfit for membership in the mathematikoi were told that they were being promoted into the mathematikoi. Instead, such individuals were essentially pseudo-mathematikoi who were merely given plausible-sounding mysticisms, ensuring that if they ever did reveal what they were taught, it would seem that they were revealing the Brotherhood's highest secrets, while in reality they were revealing nothing of the sort. The acousmatikoi, and the pseudo-mathematikoi, were the earliest form of Gnostic Illuminati. The mathematikoi were the earliest form of Scio-Illuminati. The absolute certainty of mathematics provided a solid foundation upon which to construct the teachings of the Brotherhood. All members, both acousmatikoi and mathematikoi, were therefore well trained in mathematics. The mathematical foundation of the Brotherhood is reflected by the fact that, to this day, Pythagoras is most widely known for the Pythagorean theorem, which describes the relationship between the lengths of the three sides of a right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It should be noted, however, that it was not Pythagoras who originally discovered this relationship, although he is often credited as providing the first proof of the theorem. This gave the entire Pythagorean Brotherhood a common body of absolutely irrefutable knowledge, and helped hone their reasoning skills. The acousmatikoi, and pseudo-mathematikoi, were presented with a set of mysticisms to go along with the mathematics which they were taught. These consisted largely of a specially constructed mystical version of numerology. Regarding the nature of reality, they were taught that all is number, meaning that everything is literally made of numbers and caused by numbers. The genius of this mysticism is that, while it is technically incorrect to say that things are made of numbers, it is nevertheless true that mathematical relationships are fundamental to our physical world. Furthermore, mathematical training is extremely valuable for the development of logical thinking. Another prime example of this Pythagorean numerology is the mystical meaning applied to the tetractys, a triangle composed of 4 rows of dots, with 1 in the top row, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. 1. The 4 numbers symbolize the harmony of the spheres and the cosmos as 1. Unity. 2. Dyad, power, limitedness and unlimitedness. 3. Harmony. 4. Cosmos. 2. The 4 rows add up to 10, which was unity of a higher order. This was called the decad. 3. The tetractys symbolizes the 4 elements: fire, air, water, and earth. 4. The tetractys represented the organization of space. The first row represented 0 dimensions, a point. The second row represented 1 dimension, a line defined by 2 points. The third row represented 2 dimensions, a plane defined by a triangle of 3 points. The fourth row represented 3 dimensions, a tetrahedron defined by 4 points. It should be noted that, presented to an inherently non-mystical, intellectually honest person, the ideas concerning the tetractys, and all such mysticisms, would be recognized, sooner or later, and probably sooner, as the pure nonsense which they are. For the receptive mystic, on the other hand, these and other such sound good mystical concepts provide quite compelling and mystically satisfying contemplation. These mathematical mysticisms were part of a larger, comprehensive mystical framework which ostensibly explained the nature and origin of the world and the arrangement of the cosmos, described the metempsychosis of the soul, the supposed immortality and transmigration of the soul into another living form after death, prescribed vegetarianism, due to the mystical belief that other living beings contain transmigrated souls, applied the concept of harmony to many facets of life, where harmony was defined in terms of mathematical ratios, and so on. This mystical framework was designed to give the mystically minded among the acousmaticoi a sense of certainty regarding their view of the world, and their actions in it, to present the Pythagorean brotherhood with an air of authority and mystery, and to promote nonviolence and temperance among the acousmaticoi and others who came in contact with the brotherhood and their ideas. This proved to be an excellent method for instilling into others such concepts and behaviors which were useful to and valued by the brotherhood. The mathematicoi, in contrast to the acousmaticoi, were taught to see through these and all other forms of mysticism. Instead of the mystical concept that all is number, for example, they were taught that nature appeared to operate according to mathematical principles which could be discovered through reason and observation. The mathematicoi thus had an essentially scientific view of the world, long before the advent of modern science. The mathematicoi were also taught Pythagoras's insights into the nature of the mystical mind. They were well aware of the mystical concepts being taught to the acousmaticoi and also of the hidden purpose served by promulgating these mysticisms. In other words, the mathematicoi learned the art and science of mysticontrol, and used it for good rather than evil. The profound secrecy of the brotherhood has caused the hidden knowledge of the mathematicoi to remain largely unknown outside of the Illuminati to this day, until this revelation, of course. It is the teachings of the acousmaticoi instead, which are typically associated with the Pythagoreans to those outside the Illuminati, or more specifically, to those outside the Scio-Illuminati. The Pythagorean Brotherhood gained considerable political influence in Croton, due in large part to their mastery of mysticontrol. It was their intent to exercise their will invisibly through their mysticontrol of the ruling council of Croton, until such time as they would be able to replace the council with a democracy of merit, in which individuals would have the right to vote on issues only for which they had demonstrable competence. Their ultimate goal was to create a political system with very limited governmental powers, and much greater individual freedom and autonomy. Croton sent an army of over 100,000 to battle against its rival city of Sybaris in 510 BCE, when Pythagoras was about 60 years of age. Croton was victorious in this campaign, but in the post-victory climate an insurrection took place in Croton, resulting in the disbanding of the ruling council, the formation of a non-meritocratic democracy, and the expulsion of the Brotherhood from Croton. The Brotherhood, in reaction to these events, began to transform itself from merely being a society with secrets into a truly secret society. In other words, instead of being an openly visible, openly active organization with certain inner secrets which they kept among themselves, they went underground, keeping the very fact of their existence and their activities secret. This kept the organization as a whole, as well as its individual members, far more secure, although operating in such secrecy also presented its own difficulties. It would not be until the time of Adam Weishaupt, in the late 18th century, that the Illuminati would again reveal its existence publicly. Thank you for watching. Please help spread our message by liking and sharing this video, and by subscribing to our channel. Please also visit and register on our website, Scio-Illuminati.com. Support our revolution, and join us in the growing light of knowledge and liberty.